Hoy vamos a hablar de un miedo, podríamos llamarle postmoderno, porque aún en la modernidad había confianza en el futuro. El futuro parecía un espacio auspicioso, donde el progreso iba a hacer más felices a los seres humanos. Sin embargo, es correspondiente realmente hablar del miedo al futuro, porque eso está en nuestra sociedad. Y para hablar de eso tenemos una visita de lujo, que es el filósofo y politólogo francés Guy Sorman.
Guy Sorman, politólogo francés. Nace en Francia en 1944. Es escritor, economista y doctor en ciencias políticas. Ha sido profesor en la Universidad de París, la Universidad de Beijing y la Universidad de Moscú. Es columnista de algunos de los diarios internacionales más importantes, como Le Figaro y Wall Street Journal. Algunas obras: La solución liberal, La nueva riqueza de las naciones, No a la decadencia de la Argentina, El mundo es mi tribu, El genio de la India, Made in USA.
I think that the fear of future has to do with death. Don't you think so?
Of course we fear death, but we never dare to say it. So we always invent, very abstract ideas about the future, but the real truth, as you say, is death and our incapacity in modern society to confront our own death.
Fear of decadence, no? Fear of
yeah, but
old aging.
When you read, very old texts, in Latin literature or Greek literature, the decadence was already there. And people talk about decadence because they don't see that their own body or their own mind is decadent. So they don't see themselves, so they prefer to look at the world and say, oh, the world is changing, the world is not as good as it was when I was young, and that's not the problem. It's a way to escape the truth.
The world lacks energy.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right.
But that's normal, not to be able to confront the truth. And, I said about the late Pope, Jean-Paul, I think what he did was absolutely remarkable. He forced us to watch at his own death, to remind us that we all will follow the same path. I think that was something very impressive in what the Pope did. Many people didn't understand why so much media surrounding the death of the Pope. No, it was a message.
It was a message.
Yes.
There is an industry in our nowadays society, related to the fear of decadence, of old age, the industry of aesthetic surgery, of fitness, of hair dyeing, hair implants.
But I think this comes very much from the United States.
Yes.
If you look historically, you mentioned plastic surgery. Plastic surgery started in the United States in the 20s. The technique was available, of course, but why such a desire among the American people in the United States to be young forever? There is, I think, something specifically belonging to the United States. And this civilization full of energy, sort of a triumph energy, triumph of the eternally young person, is using all the cosmetic, chemical, pharmaceutical means to be eternally young. And of course we are very much influenced by this civilization.
La consulta en cirugía plástica generalmente no es por el miedo a la vejez, sino por una falta de aceptación de la autoimagen del individuo, ¿no? Es un individuo que no acepta bien su imagen, no se ve consigo mismo cómo le vienen pegando los años, no los puede ver enfrente del espejo, entonces no se empieza a aceptar esta nueva imagen que va teniendo a medida que van pasando los años, y al no aceptar esta imagen le trae problemas con su personalidad, con su relación con su pareja, con sus hijos, con el trabajo, en todos lados le empieza a traer problemas y por esto es que recurre generalmente al cirujano plástico para, bueno, ver un cambio, ya sea sacarse unos años con alguna cirugía o cambiar algún defecto que le está ocasionando este desequilibrio en su personalidad.
You wrote about that in your last book, no? Maybe
Yes.
in USA. No?
Yes.
When one thinks in future, one fears the confrontation between Islam and West. What is your prognostic about that?
And before talking about the future, I'd like to say one word about the past.
Oh, yes.
Because
yes.
I'm not so old, I'm not young either. So I remember a time of poverty in Europe, famine in India or in China, and the threat from the Soviet Union. All those were real threats. We come out from a very dangerous and very poor world.
Yes.
So when we talk about the future, maybe the future won't be perfect, but the past wasn't so great. And we were able to escape many, many threats, like the nuclear bomb of the Soviet Empire, which were very serious.
Yes.
Okay, now Islam. The real problem is not the Muslim versus us, Western civilization. The problem is Muslim versus other Muslims. There is today a huge confrontation within the Muslim world between, let's say, the moderate and the fundamentalist. The fundamentalists are a minority, but a very active minority. The moderates so far have been unable to organize themselves. So it's not Islam as such, it's within Islam, who will win? The people in favor of an enlightened Islam or people in favor of a dark Islam? So this is a real debate.
Who will win?
I think the moderate will win.
Yes.
The moderate will win because the situation is totally changing since 2 or 3 years. Take the US intervention in Iraq. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. That's not the problem. But the consequence of this intervention in Iraq is that many political parties, moderate parties, are getting organized everywhere in the Arab world, asking for election in Morocco, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait. So the landscape is completely changing because of the impact of the war. And I think the moderate will not let the fundamentalist win. Also, the fundamentalists in Iraq, by bringing death and no hope for the people of Iraq, are creating a lot of enemies. Nobody expects the fundamentalists to come with a positive message in the Muslim world anymore.
In your last book, you wrote about that the United States are sure that they have a mission.
They think they have.
Spreading liberty
Yes, yes.
and democracy,
Yeah.
even by force.
Yes. Yes, man, it's very difficult to talk quietly about the United States.
Yes, you wrote about the empire of liberty.
Yeah. So when you say United States, people jump immediately, say, I'm against
Yes.
it, I'm for it. My position is very quiet, neutral. I'm trying to understand. And the United States have been created not with a specific geography, not for a specific people. The ambition from the very beginnings in the creation of the United States is to build on earth an empire of liberty. So
Yes.
the mission is connected in the very root, in the very origin of the United States. They started like that. So
Jefferson talked about liberty and happiness.
yeah, there are two things.
Yes.
They think that the purpose of a society is to make the human being happy.
Happy, yes.
Which is for an Argentinian or a Frenchman a bit bizarre because we don't think that society is made to make you happy. Perhaps society can help you to evade tragedy. So pursuit of happiness is a cornerstone of the United States. And then they consider from the very beginning, in order to make the world happy, the world must be free and democratic. So the mission of the United States since the 18th century is to build the empire of liberty by any means including by force, and this appears since the very beginning of the United States.
Y el otro temor me parece es la violencia, ¿no? Es decir, las guerras se han desarrollado también en virtud de nuevos aparatos científicos, tecnológicos sumamente destructivos, de un modo depredatorio para la civilización y para el conjunto de la población, ¿no? Y esto genera temor. La violencia en general genera temor en la población. Hay una situación fuerte de indefensión para muchas personas, producto del modo de intervención que tienen los países desarrollados, del terrorismo de Estado y del terrorismo parapolicial o paramilitar, digamos, y en medio el grueso de la población, para decirte poco, te digo el 85% de las personas que nada tienen que ver con esto y que son las víctimas de las situaciones de violencia. Digamos, estos dos temores empiezan a ser fuertes.
You do not think that the main cause of Iraq invasion is oil?
No, I think it helps. I mean, it helps because it helps finance the war, but it's not the decisive. It's not the basic reason. So, if you look, on the long run at the whole history of the United States, they always try to enlarge the scope of liberty and the scope of democratic country. Sometimes they stop because you have the Soviet Union, sometimes they stop because it's too dangerous for them, but when they can go forward in extending the geography of liberty, they do it. They do it where it's easy. When it's not easy, they're a bit reluctant. But this is the direction of the foreign policy.
You're French, and it could be said that European intellectuals do not share your opinion about the United States of America. No?
Well, I don't have an opinion. I mean, I'm not a man of opinion. I'm trying to learn about reality and to teach reality. So my position would be, first, you got to understand what the United States is about. What is this mission? Okay? And then in the second stage, you are perfectly free to say, I'm against it. So what I criticize is anti-Americanism, which is not based on knowledge.
Yes.
So knowledge first, and then you can take ideological positions. Now, among the French or European intellectuals, most of them would be against the United States, not all of them. It's quite divided. Quite divided. Yeah, but also the European intellectual, they are a bit frustrated by the cultural domination of the United States and the fact that in the Americans, they don't have such a respect for intellectuals.
Yes.
Much more comfortable to be an intellectual in France than in the United States. Yeah.
Speaking about the political correction,
yes.
You have criticized the ecologists, no? That insist that capitalism and progress are against the environment. You wrote about the Vulgata, no? The ecologist Vulgata.
Yes. No? Yes, I mean, once again, I put knowledge first.
Because this is the thing that one listens very often, no? About in future,
yes,
no, the planet is going to be destroyed by progress and all that. Yes.
I mean, once again, you are right, but I put knowledge first. So let's talk about global warming, let's talk about environment and things like that. But let's do it in a very scientific way, okay? Take global warming. Maybe there is global warming. Probably there is. What is the human factor in global warming? We don't know. If we know what the human factor is, how can we intervene? So this is a rational debate in which I'm totally ready to get into. But to say we have to destroy American capitalism or any form of capitalism because it will destroy the planet, this has nothing to do with knowledge. This is another ideology. It's an ideology. So I'm against ecology when it is an ideology. I'm with it if it is a science. But I don't want to confuse both.
For example, the struggle against nuclear energy.
I think you have to be coherent. I mean, if you think that there is a global warming, we know that the only way today to produce electricity without global warming is nuclear energy.
Even with the finishing of oil, no?
Yeah, also, I mean, the resources of oil are quite important. I mean, the world is not going to miss oil for a very long time. But it's true that oil is producing a lot of pollution. Maybe oil is warming the climate. Nuclear energy is more accessible. It's safe. There have never been any major accident with nuclear energy so far. It's a well-mastered technology. It's safe for poor developing countries. Take countries like China or India, for example. They have no oil. They want to develop themselves. That's normal. I mean, we should be happy to see them getting more and more developed. They can do it only through nuclear energy. This is the only way today which is available.